June 10th, 1983. A young mother steps outside to check on her child, unaware that her worst fear is about to come true. She's called the police, again. But when her estranged husband shows up, armed and raging, they don't rush to stop him. They stand and watch as he nearly kills her. This is the case that forced a nation to change its laws, but only after the system failed one woman in the most horrifying way imaginable. Tracey Thurman was a young woman living in Torrington, Connecticut, a quiet working-class town where everyone seemed to know one another. She met Charles Buck Thurman in 1978 when she was still a teenager. He was charming, confident, and seemed protective. For a while, life with him felt exciting, but it wasn't long before his protectiveness turned into control, jealousy, explosive anger. By the time they married and had a child, Buck's temper had escalated into full-blown abuse. Tracey endured beatings, threats, and manipulation, but eventually she decided to leave. She filed for divorce. She sought protection. She tried to rebuild her life with their toddler son. What she didn't know was that leaving Buck would make her more of a target than ever. After leaving him, Tracey did everything she was supposed to do. She got a restraining order. She reported every threat, every violation. Every time Buck showed up where he wasn't supposed to be, Buck repeatedly harassed her, showing up at her friend's house, banging on windows and making violent threats. She called Torrington police over and over. She begged them to protect her and her son. But time after time, the officers did nothing. They treated her calls as domestic disputes, not emergencies. Her reports were dismissed, arrests were delayed, and warnings were disregarded. Each time the system dismissed her, Buck's confidence grew. He knew he could violate the law without consequences, and that sense of power would culminate in an attack that changed everything. It was a warm summer day in Torrington. Tracey was staying at a friend's house with her toddler. She saw Buck's car pull up outside. Her heart dropped. She immediately called the police, just as she had so many times before. And then she waited. 25 minutes passed. No police. Buck got out of his car and approached the house. Tracey stepped outside to protect her child, maybe to reason with him. But Buck wasn't there to talk. He grabbed her, pulled a knife, and began stabbing her, over and over. 13 stab wounds, chest, neck, face. Neighbors screamed. Her friend tried to intervene, and then finally a Torrington police officer arrived, while Buck was still attacking her. But instead of rushing in, he stood by. He radioed for backup. As Buck stomped on Tracey's neck, breaking it and leaving her partially paralyzed. She lay bleeding on the ground while Buck picked up their toddler in front of her, holding their child over the body of the woman he had just nearly killed. Only then, after the attack was over, did the officer arrest him. Tracey was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. She survived, but she would never fully walk the same again. Tracey refused to stay silent. From her hospital bed, she made a decision that would reshape American law. She filed a federal civil rights lawsuit, Thurman versus City of Torrington. Her argument was groundbreaking. By failing to protect her, the police had violated her 14th Amendment right to equal protection under the law. The evidence was undeniable. Documented calls, reports, and their inaction on the day of the attack. In 1985, the court ruled in Tracey's favor. She was awarded $2.3 million in damages. But the case wasn't just about money. It set a precedent. Police departments could be held liable for failing to protect victims of domestic violence. Her courage led to the passage of the Family Violence Prevention and Response Act of 1986, known as the Thurman Law. It required police to make arrests in domestic violence cases whenever there was probable cause, even if the victim didn't press charges. For the first time, domestic abuse was treated as the crime it always should have been. Buck Thurman was sentenced to 15 years in prison for the assault. But like so many sentences in the 1980s, he didn't serve the full term. After just 8 years, he walked out of prison in 1991. The news sparked outrage. Many couldn't believe that a man who nearly killed his wife in front of police was now free. By then, though, Tracey's lawsuit had already changed the country. Laws across the United States began to mirror Connecticut's mandatory arrest policies. Police departments received training. Domestic violence was no longer dismissed as just a family issue. Tracey's suffering forced a system to confront its own negligence. The attack on June 10th wasn't just a turning point for Tracey, it was a turning point for America. Her courage in the face of unimaginable trauma gave countless survivors the legal protection she never received. But behind every reform is a human cost. Tracey's story is a brutal reminder that change often comes only after someone is nearly destroyed. Tracey Thurman's case forced the world to pay attention, but no one should have to almost die for the system to care. Do you think police would respond differently if this happened today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If Tracey's story moved you, hit like, subscribe to Secrets in the Shadows, and join us as we uncover the truths the world can't ignore. Until next time, keep seeking the truth. Keep standing with survivors. This is Secrets in the Shadows, where we shine a light on the cases the world tried to forget, because the truth should never stay hidden.